あ、俺はウソップだ。よろしく。いやいや、よろしく。
考古学者。
考古学者。
代々そういう家系なの。私が生まれた家は。
なるほど。
私が考古学者になり、そして世界政府から追われる身となったのが8歳の時。
ずっと一人でか。
そうは言っても、結局自分の身を守るため、そして目的を果たすための手段として、今までいろんな悪党に付き従う道、リオポーネグリフにたどり着くため。
リオポーネグリフ。What? Why?
おかげで裏で動くのは随分と上手くなったわ。
何が得意だ？
暗殺。
取り調べの結果危険すぎる女だと。
軽くあしらわれちゃって情けない。実
Oh.
は今の今まで犯罪会社の副社長やってたのよ。そんな女なんかどうやったら仲間にできるっていう。クロコダイルの宝石少し持って。
Now she's gonna love you.
大好きお姉様。
おいおいおいおい。
Let's see, how does she handle Sanji?
僕はただ漆黒に焦げた体をその流れに横たえる流木。おやつです。
まあありがとう。
あれは当然ああだしな。
うん。まああれはもう。おい、ゾップ。キャッパ
ー。それともロビンスワンかな、どっちかな。あれ、どちらへ？
I like her.
いいわね、この船はいつもこんなに賑やか。
ああ、こんなもんだ。
さあ、
この女、何企んでやがる。
ところで航海士さん、航海は順調？風、天候ともに問題なし。すっごく順調よ、ロビン姉さん。腹減ったん。
腹減ったん。
墓。
Okay, before we get started, I just wanted to say on the 6th of October, my first One Piece video to reach 100,000 views on that day was the world's greatest swordsman Hawkeye Mihawk versus Pirate Hunter Zoro. Hawkeye Mihawk, I think I said that weird. Versus Pirate Hunter Zoro. One Piece episode 24, 25, and 26. So yeah, it's just cool to know that that video got 100,000 views. It's not obviously the most viewed video on my channel at the moment, I think. Now I'm curious, but it's just cool that, you know, it's my first One Piece video to reach 100,000 views, and that's a lot considering it's so early in the story, you know. So yeah, I think my most viewed videos at the moment is Attack on Titan, season 3 part 2 episode 4, also season 3 part 2 episode 5. There's this One Punch Man video, more Attack on Titan, more Attack on Titan, more Attack on Titan, more Attack on Titan, and then at 102,000 views at the moment is that video, and then some One Punch Man. Oh my god, look how far, Demon Slayer, and this is a timer video. I'm surprised the timer video got this high. Fuck. Okay, sorry, unrelated, totally unrelated. Then there's a Dororo episode, and then Chopper's backstory is my second highest, most viewed One Piece video. Okay, back to actual related topics. Let's start with my notes for episode 129. Everything began that day. Vivi tells of her adventures. Really like this image, obviously, where Igaram has that dream and she says, I will be queen of the pirates. I absolutely freaked out because of that, obviously, I think you saw. And it was the same in the official manga translation too, so my Luffy heart is very ecstatic. The above picture is a screenshot from Crunchyroll, and the below is from the manga colored version, which looks really beautiful. Like, this is nice, but this is beautiful. And the translation exactly is Kaizoku Jio o ni naru, but with Kaizoku Jio instead of Kaizoku o. She just changed king for queen and said exactly what Luffy always says. So it's Luffy's phrase except queen instead of king. I really love this little this, what do you call it? There's a name for it again. The Jolly Roger? Is it called the Jolly Roger? And I really want one for me too. I think it would be so cute, because now I want a t-shirt with my Jolly Roger on. It would be so cute. Even though I wouldn't be a captain of my own ship, to be honest. I would just be on, hopefully, Luffy's ship. But anyway, also, after posting the last video in which Luffy gets a nosebleed after Nami's happiness punch, it's hilarious to see how many people are trying to make it sound like Luffy was just copying Usopp. Even though, wait, I'll get to it. I feel like those kinds of people, they really just want to bend the truth to make their own truth more objectively correct. Like, they're twisting Oda's words from the manga, in my opinion. It's not even, I don't feel like it's an opinion, because you can see, like, they're using a part of Oda's words to make their opinion, which it is, it's just an opinion, at this point, since it hasn't been confirmed that Luffy is asexual. So they're using his words, like a part of it, out of the SPS, and they're saying he was just copying Usopp, he can get nosebleeds on command, he is asexual, blah 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 blah. But let's talk about that for a bit, shall we? And I want to give a heads up. I'm not saying that he's not asexual. I'm not claiming that. I'm saying my opinion is that he's not asexual. And the only thing I'm trying to do here, and why I took this so seriously, was I'm just trying to get people to understand that it is not confirmed. It is, if you believe it very strongly, good for you. But I was irritated with people acting like it's a fact stated by Oda. Like, they get offended by me sharing my opinion because it's different from their own, because apparently I'm going against Oda's word, because Oda apparently in their mind confirmed it when he did definitely not confirm it at all. It was just an opinion. Whether you think he's asexual or not, I don't think it's been confirmed yet. My opinion is that he's not asexual. Your opinion is that he is. And that's fine. I'm not trying to convince you otherwise. What I'm trying to convince people is that unless Oda explicitly says one day Luffy is asexual, it will always just be an opinion. And I think it's smart of him not to confirm anything, because you want the fans to keep guessing. You want the fans to keep talking about it, keep looking for more clues, hints, blah 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 blah. So yeah, let's continue. Oda's words in the SPS were copied. At this time while I was doing my notes, I just copied a quote, a part from a comment in the video comments. So this is what that person said, is the quote. I believe that Luffy reacted to Nami's naked body twice, in volume 18 and 23, and both times it happened, Usopp was with him. He's the suspicious one. He's interested, but he's not entranced by her. But when he's with Usopp, who's the same age, it's like a kid on a school trip. His bad side comes out. Yeah, both sides of Luffy feel right to me, so the culprit is definitely Usopp. Both sides of Luffy feels right to me. Usopp brings out the bad side, meaning that side of him exists. Both sides of Luffy exists. Just saying. In my opinion, if Usopp brings out his bad side, that means his bad side exists. Both sides feels right to me, so he has those interests. It's just that usually he's more focused on other things. Becoming the Pirate King, meat, adventure. That doesn't mean, however, that the other side doesn't exist. That doesn't make someone asexual just because they're focused on other things in their life right now. You can't just decide, oh, they haven't had sex, means they're asexual. No, that's not how asexuality works. Okay, but then I continue to say at this point in the notes, I'm not caught up on the story, of course, so I can only speak based off what I have seen up to now. But from my perspective, the people who act like Luffy has absolutely no inkling of potential for romantic love or desire, or forcing their own concept of his character and what they want it to adhere to onto others, like me, who have a different understanding of his current desires, his true nature, and his potential interests. Luffy is, after all, a fictional character. And unless Oda explicitly says Luffy is X, in this case asexual, anyone is free to interpret these moments as they wish. What bothered me was people trying to push down my throat that Luffy being asexual is canon, that it is anything other than their opinion, which it is not. It is just their opinion at this point. It is their theory. However well they think, however true they believe it is, it's still just a theory at this point. And that's all I'm like. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying stop fucking trying to push down my throat that your opinion is a fact. That's all I'm saying. And I'll stop saying that's all I'm saying now, but I just don't want people to think like I'm acting like I'm right here, because I'm not. I have only seen 10% of the story. I don't think I'm correct, but let's continue. Just like Oda said though, when people have asked him in the SBS, wait, let me get the exact quote. So I kind of read the SBS every 20 to 50 episodes. I go and I read the SBS up until the point where the anime, like until it reaches that part in the anime. So this is something that I read Oda say once. How is it that the spikes from Miss Doublefinger's Toge Toge fruit can also grow from outside her body, her clothes that is? And then Oda replies to this question, huh? Are you referring to the fact that the spikes would rip the clothes? If I did that, wouldn't this become an extraordinarily erotic manga? And if I did that, then I'd have to draw it that way on book covers. So then everyone would be super embarrassed when trying to buy it at the bookstore. Do you want that? So you can see here, Oda has a very fun way of responding to his fans. I'm sure anyone who has read the SBS will notice. But he's being honest, like if he starts, there was another instance where someone asked why was the rocks when Hiluluk was naked. Remember when he found Chopper or they met? The lock was strategically placed, over his private parts. And Oda said the same thing, like, if I draw it any other way, it becomes a different type of story, don't you think? Oh no, and someone asked about pants. Why do, when they fight, their pants stay on, like their pants never get torn or blah blah blah? Same thing. The tone of the story would change if all of a sudden they were topless and bottomless and rocks were not covering penises and boobs pointed and there's no clothes. Like the tone of the story would be completely different. So since the nature of the story is not an erotic manga, it would be pointless to draw it realistically. Miss Doublefinger's clothes being ripped off by her spikes. Like he doesn't draw that because it would change the nature of the story. In the same way, since One Piece is not a romance manga, like the focus of it is not a romance story in terms of, I know it starts with Romance Dawn, but you know what I mean when I'm saying romance. It would be pointless to fill it with a bunch of characters falling in love, etc, etc. Oda does not need to write in these kinds of things because it's not the point or genre of the story. But just like technically Miss Doublefinger's clothes should be ripped off by her thorns, or how when Hiluluk was naked in the snow once, a log or something just conveniently was covering his private parts. Otherwise, the nature of the story he was writing would change too much. It would be labeled as something different than what he wants it to be. I believe this is the same reason why Oda does not write, at least up to this point, romance between any of the Straw Hats. It would change the nature of the story. Like, he's, through not making the clothes rip, and through drawing the rock in front of the penis, he's not denying the fact that Hiluluk has a penis, or that women have nipples, and stuff. You know, he's not denying the fact that is a fact. And it's the same way, like, it's not that he doesn't want his characters to ever find love. It's just like, that's not the point of the story. Like, that's not what it's going to be about. That's not what he wants the focus to be. Romance, after all, is complicated. And this story is about adventure and following your dreams. That's what he wants the focus to be. Once again, doesn't mean he doesn't want his character to fall in love. It also doesn't mean he doesn't want Luffy to be asexual. Once again, if that's what he wants, if that's what you want and that's what you see, great. But I'm just saying, we may never find out because it's not the point of the story, so it might remain a mystery forever. What I'm trying to say is I personally believe that Luffy, as well as the other Straw Hats, are free to be shipped by fans as much as we want. Or if you want to believe they're asexual, all of them, then that's also it. That's fine. I don't think Oda will ever make romance a big part of the story, but that doesn't mean the characters are now objectively asexual and will never find love or blah blah blah. Does that make sense? I hope so. I did talk to some people about Naruto though, for example, and they say that in the end, characters actually ended up together officially. And I heard the same about Bleach. So it's possible that in the end, Oda might confirm things, but it's also possible that he might not, because it depends where he ends it, right? I'm not trying to change anyone's minds here, of course. You are free to believe as you wish, just like I am free to believe and think about the characters as I want. I'm just trying to say, if you think that your opinion on the characters are the perfect truth or objectively correct, you are kind of deluding yourself. Stop telling the rest of us that we're wrong, because there is no wrong here. Unless Oda says, hey everyone, Luffy is asexual, and even if he did say that, being asexual does not make you a romantic. Although, and here's where things get complicated, but hear me out. Although asexual people do not experience sexual attraction, that does not necessarily mean that they do not experience romantic emotions. As most people know, love does not equal sex. So it's possible to fall in love with someone and not be interested in having sex with them. Furthermore, asexuality exists on a spectrum, just like sexuality and identity in general. A character like Bon Clay is the perfect example of that. To be honest, it can get very complicated if you take into account terms like romantic, aromantic, demi-romantic, gay, lesbian, bisexual, pansexual, asexual, allosexual, androsexual, demisexual, gynosexual, scoliosexual, and who knows how many other terms there are out there. It's absolutely wonderful to know that we don't have to be just one thing for the rest of our lives and we only have two options to choose from. Life is so much more nuanced than that. Sure, we like putting things in a box to make it easier to communicate and get things done in our day-to-day situations. Like if someone asks you, do you think red or blue looks better on me? As if that just has two choices, because it doesn't. Red does not just mean red. If it can be maroon, scarlet, vermilion, raspberry, hibiscus, crimson, mahogany, burgundy. Like maybe you think red doesn't look nice on that person. Like imagine just how complicated the answer can be. Like, I don't like red on you, like the rainbow color of red. Like, you know, the kind of red that is in the rainbow on pictures and stuff, the general red color. I don't like red on you, but I really like raspberry on you. If it's between red and blue, the basic colors that people know from the rainbow, I would choose blue. But if I can give a more nuanced answer, I think raspberry would be a really lovely color on you. So do you understand what I'm trying to say? Like, things are never just that or that. It's so much more complicated than that. Life is not black and white, and neither are our identities or our interests. One Piece already deals with so many deep themes, and therefore I don't expect Oda to focus on any romance, not including the romance of adventure, of course, especially among the main characters themselves. Oda does not seem like the kind of guy that half-asses a story, and therefore if the story is meant to focus on adventure and making our dreams come true, and so many other things, it does focus on more, of course, but those things that he chooses to focus on, he will explore at lengths. There is so much greatness that comes out of One Piece, but obviously if we want to watch a romance anime, then we can go watch or read Fruits Basket or the Monogatari series. Two shows that does romance, almost as well as Oda does adventure. I hope that makes sense. My point is that no story can have it all. Oda's story has so much already. He can't start writing complicated romance and things in it too. Falling in love is an adventure in and of itself. If Oda had to start writing about that, it would completely change the nature of the story. Does that mean Luffy is asexual? I don't think so, although some people clearly do. I don't think Oda will explicitly confirm or deny anything because that's not the point of the story. Are we then free to interpret it however we want? Yes, go for it, have fun. And then some stuff happened. A little bit of time passed. As I was making these notes, comments kept coming through about people saying Luffy is factually asexual, and it was irritating me. People are changing Oda's words to suit their prerogative. Like, they literally quote Oda from his SBS, but they only use parts of it. Like, Oda said Usopp was the influence and Luffy was just copying him. He is clearly asexual. If you think any other way, blah, 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 blah. It's a fact, blah, 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 blah. And I was just like, let me go find this quote. Let me go look it up, because I was going off of, because I haven't read that far in the SBS. So I was just going off of a quote. Not a quote, well, yes, a quote that someone took out of the SBS and posted in the comment section of my video. So that's what I used. Because they used enough of the quote for me to realize that Oda said Usopp brings out Luffy's bad side. So I was like, yeah, that makes sense. That doesn't mean he's asexual. That just means that when he's with Usopp, his bad side comes out more than it would if he wasn't with Usopp, you know? But then people were talking about it as if it was a fact, and I got a little frustrated, and I went and searched, even though I shouldn't have, but I searched it, and I was like, I accept the responsibility, not the responsibilities, but I accept the consequences of me searching this. So I did, and I guess I spoiled myself in terms of a name and one thing that happens, but it doesn't spoil the plot for me, so I don't care. Anyway, in this case, I don't care because I was worked up and I chose to go search. That doesn't mean that other people can just spoil me left, right, and center about anything that doesn't concern the plot. I'm just saying in this specific case, because I chose to do it, I accepted the consequence. I accepted what. Okay, so here's the exact quote from the SBS, and I took this so seriously. I even asked, well, I'll get to it. Wait. Okay, so here's the question. Hey Oda, in volume 53, chapter 518, Hancock's something something had no effect on Luffy, but in volume 23, chapter 213, it looked like he had a reaction to Nami's happiness punch. Why did he respond to Nami's naked body, but not to Hancock's? Is Nami's body just that amazing? From Kazu. Oh, and here's just something that pops up for me now. There are people of the sexuality, I'm not exactly sure what it is. They don't feel, I think it could be demisexual or something, but I'm not sure on the exact term. But it's people who can't feel sexually attracted to someone unless they are already, like, they love them, they have a personal relationship with them. So people that shy away from or they don't feel sexual attraction towards someone unless they already have a close connection with them. So that could, for example, explain why Luffy, whatever kind of love it was, Luffy already is close to Nami. He also already loves her as a friend, as a possible romantic interest. Who knows? Maybe that's why her naked body could, attract him, on top of the fact that he was with Usopp. But whoever this Hancock person is, if he just saw a random naked lady, then it wouldn't attract a person that only gets attracted to people that are already close with. Not attracted, but like I said, sexuality exists on a spectrum. People feel different levels of attraction depending on different situations, environments, and relationships. It's so much more nuanced than we know. So anyway, here's Oda's answer. Wow, I got a lot of questions about this. Is this what you guys are paying attention to? Don't just read manga all day, go study some more, okay? Well, I say that, but I do nothing but draw manga. I noticed this when we were drawing it, but if Luffy had a nosebleed when he saw Hancock's body, I think you would be like, what? That's not the Luffy we know. I believe that Luffy reacted to Nami's naked body twice, in volume 18 and 23. So this was the part of the quote, the part of the paragraph that the person who commented it, they only took out this part. So I'm going to reread it. I believe that Luffy reacted to Nami's naked body twice, in volumes 18 and 23, and both times it happened, Usopp was with him. He's the suspicious one. In other words, when Luffy is alone, his reaction is what it was with Hancock. He's interested, but he's not entranced by her. But when he's with Usopp, who's the same age, it's like a kid on a school trip. His bad side comes out. Yes, both sides of Luffy feel right to me, so the culprit is definitely Usopp. So once again, as I said, Usopp is the culprit. He's the one that brings out Luffy's bad side, but to bring something out, it needs to exist in the first place, and Luffy is interested but not entranced. So it's not that he's not interested in a woman's naked body at all, but he doesn't get all Sanji about it because that's not his personality. He is not that sexually attracted. Like, Sanji seems to be heightenedly attracted to femininity and womanness. There's a word for that, and I think it's gynosexual. Gynosexual means someone who is gynosexual identifies as being attracted to femininity or the female anatomy, regardless of whether the object of one's affection identifies as a female or not. I don't know, but you understand what I'm trying to say. Like, there are different levels of being sexually attracted, sexually aroused, and just because you aren't like a very sexual person does not make you asexual. Luffy's interests right now are in the adventure, but that does not make him asexual. I don't know how I can, like, I don't know what people think asexual is. It's a very, I think you guys should sit down and talk to an asexual person to really understand what it means exactly. It's so much more complicated than just not getting a nosebleed when a woman shows you her boobs. It's so much, yeah. So, anyway, yes, I went and found this damn screenshot from the SBS, despite it technically being spoilery. He's interested, but he's not entranced by her. Interested. That can be interpreted very differently, don't you think? How are y'all getting asexual from this? Like, how are some people saying it's a fact that he is asexual, and they bring up this that's what frustrates me. They bring up this paragraph and they talk about, all they take out of it is Usopp influences Luffy, he's asexual. Obviously they're considering other things, like that happens. Luffy doesn't get turned on by other female characters, whatever. So they see that, they see here something about Usopp, and then they just take out that one part of the paragraph, and now bam, character labeled as objectively asexual. I don't get it. I don't get how that is a fact. Some people in the world can't be sexually aroused unless they have an emotional connection with someone. Did you all even know that? For Nami x Luffy shippers, they can take this as meaning Luffy is sexually attracted to Nami because he got a nosebleed when he saw her body, but he was not sexually aroused by whoever Hancock is because he doesn't love her. Do you understand where I'm going with this? Oda says with Usopp, his bad side comes out, which, as I mentioned before, means he has a bad side. You can't bring something out that does not exist. I keep repeating myself here, but because I was like bombarded with so many comments claiming it a fact. I can't. I am not arguing that the Vivi x Luffy or Nami x Luffy ship is a fact. That is not the point of this motherfucking long rant. I'm just trying to make people understand that them saying Luffy is factually asexual, unless Oda explicitly used the word asexual, which he didn't. No one has said, no one could show me where exactly did Oda say asexual. So if you're saying he's factually asexual and everyone else is wrong, you are being presumptuous and kind of delusional. I don't like, And here's another thing. People are saying, oh, but you'll see later. You'll see later in the story. I know people who are caught up with the anime and manga. Multiple people who have told me they still don't think Luffy is asexual. So based on that, like I admit, I can't really know, like I can't know what happens later in the story. I don't know if someone can decide to be asexual later in their life. I don't know. I don't know. So I'm going off of other people who have finished the anime, finished the manga, and they tell me they still think, like, I don't believe Luffy's asexual. And based on what I've seen thus far, and based on Oda's words, nothing has been confirmed. Once again, I don't know what happens later. I don't know if Luffy changes his mind and becomes asexual. I don't know if someone can decide to be asexual. I was born, like, in terms of my sexuality, my first sexual experiences were with girls, but I never thought, when I grew older, I saw like, okay, boys with girls, girls with boys. That's what I did. And then I left school, and then for a long time, I didn't do anything with anyone because that's not where my focus was. I was totally focused on like figuring my own shit out. I didn't kiss anyone, but I wasn't asexual. I wasn't looking, okay. And then now I'm like here, I'm like, well, I don't know, whatever. I find girls prettier than boys, and I would love to hook up with more girls, but I'm in a committed relationship now with a man. And so like so my sexuality has always like been, I fall in love. Even though I've been with more guys, but my sexuality, what I'm trying to say is, even though I was more sexually active at some points in my life than others, my sexuality didn't change. It was just always what it was. But I can't speak for others, so I don't know if Luffy later in the story becomes asexual. But what I'm saying is based on other people who, and I trust these people. These are patrons that have watched the anime multiple times, that are up to date on the manga, and they are smart, capable people. I have great conversations with them, and they say, I don't know, I know that there are people that think that, but I don't. After everything I've read, I don't agree that he's asexual. So what I'm trying to say is just that it's not a fact. That's all I'm trying to say. Furthermore, I'm sorry, LOL, this conversation keeps going on and on and on and on and on, but it's very interesting. So I'm continuing with it. Someone, and hear me out, tweeted me their English translation of the screenshot I sent above here. So this is from the SBS. But this is a screenshot from someone's, not a screenshot, a photo of someone's English translation from I don't know which book. But as you can see, maybe you can't see, but basically it leaves out the part that says he's interested, but he's not entranced by her. It leaves that part out entirely. I found this very weird. And so I asked a patron who I knew had the official Japanese version to check for me, what did Oda write himself in Japanese kanji? Like, all translations are people who translate from Japanese to English. And that's my problem with the Bible, sorry to say, but the Bible has been translated and translated and translated. And people who translate sometimes pick and choose parts that are important, switch things around, blah, 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 blah. And so I asked my patron, Atsuran, please send me a screenshot of your Japanese version. And I want to know, was that sentence left out? Was it mistranslated? Why is it not in this English version? And here is the Japanese version, kanji. This yellow part here is that sentence. The highlighted part in yellow is where Oda said, in his own words, Luffy is interested but not entranced. How is that? How are people getting asexual from that part specifically? Because that's what they keep bringing up. They keep bringing up this paragraph and saying, oh, it's all Usopp. Luffy forced a nosebleed and it's all Usopp. He was just imitating Usopp. That's it, asexual, done. Like, why do you bring up this when this paragraph specifically says Luffy is interested but not entranced by her? For some reason, this English translation here left it out. Asuran told me But in conclusion, from what I see, Oda does say very clearly that there's interest, but he is not stunned or confused or entranced by it. And the Viz translation, oh, it was from Viz. It simply skips that sentence. I know that Atsuran actually tweeted the translator for Viz Media or something, and he asked him about it, but I don't think there's been a response as of now. He asked him, like, why was that sentence left out? And I don't know if they respond, I will say, but they haven't responded yet. Okay, for the 10th time, hehe. The only point I'm trying to make here is that there is no fact that Luffy is asexual. Those who interpret it that way are no more right than those who interpret it differently. I'm just trying to point out every interpretation is just an opinion, and there's not one correct answer until Oda says Luffy is asexual, in those words. Up to now, he's been pretty ambiguous about it, and I think that's smart because, once again, here I am rambling about it for half an hour. You guys are gonna get worked up, both sides, and we're gonna talk about it, and that's the point. That's what it's supposed to be, because that's what makes a good story. Like, he gives us enough to make theories, but he doesn't reveal so much that we figure it out, because that keeps us talking, you know? Up to now, he's been pretty ambiguous about it, but just in my personal opinion, Oda saying Usopp brings out Luffy's bad side, insinuating a bad side does exist in order for Usopp to bring it out. 2. Yeah, both sides of Luffy feels right to me. Once again, insinuating that there is more than one side to Luffy that we know. Even though he currently is solely focused on his adventure and the dream of becoming a pirate king, there is more to him, both sides. He says both as if there's just two, but you know what I mean. There's not just the one side. And Luffy is interested but not entranced. These 3 statements alone rule out, in my opinion, Luffy's factual asexuality at this point. Like I said, in the rest of the story, I don't know if a person can become asexual, but at this point, for me, these 3 statements rule out the, oh, he's factually asexual. He might be demisexual, bisexual, pansexual, heterosexual, whatever. But just based off those words from Oda, asexuality doesn't seem likely. Not likely. Although I do agree with people that say the following. Right now, Luffy is focused on his adventure and on his dream. It's not that Luffy is canonically asexual, it's just that Luffy has other interests right now. Which brings me back to something I pointed out before, another question and answer from the SBS. And this is the question: I've been thinking about a worthy topic for 5 years now, and that topic is, why is it that in battle manga, the bottom half of people's clothes never get ruined? And Oda says, if they fought naked, wouldn't it kind of change the emphasis of the manga? In the same way, writing something as complex as love and romance into the story would completely change the emphasis of the manga. But just because Oda chooses not to focus on it doesn't mean we aren't allowed to decipher hints and make theories and such. Like I said, have fun. That's the point of it. Oda and other battle shonen not drawing them fighting naked and pants being burned off doesn't mean they ignore the fact that, like, it's not like they think the penis doesn't exist. It's not like they think they deny the existence. Oh, because we've never seen a character's penis in battle manga, it means that the penis does not exist. No, there's no point in drawing that, because that's not what the story is about. And same here. The manga here focuses on so much and maybe drops some hints along the way, but something has to be left for the imagination. No story can have it all. But that was fun. Anyway, next, while editing, I realized there was so many obvious hints that this was not Vivi. For example, the ceremony started 2 hours late, and King Cobra said, "I hope this does not turn into a riot." But I was still surprised when I found out it was Igaram disguised as Vivi, and Vivi went off to the place where she was supposed to meet Luffy and them. to see them off. Here is Vivi's speech. I'm not gonna read through it all again because we heard it in the episode. It's just, I really loved it. It's a beautiful speech, and then this fucking amazing moment. One of my favorite moments I've ever seen in anime. It had so much meaning, and Mickey, one of my patrons and also one of my mods, she actually has a tattoo like this, and I think that's fucking amazing. I should actually, if I remember, I need to go find that tweet and put it in the pinned comment so you guys can go see. It looks so cool. I think it's just really cool. Okay, here, whoa, this image is so cool. Like, it gives my eyes like, anyway. This guy looks like a pineapple. How cool is that? Episode 130, Beware Her Saint. The 7th one is Nico Robin. The cage fruit, I almost said kage fruit. The cage fruit, everything that touches my body will be locked up. And on an unrelated note, I seriously love her hair. I wish this was my hair. Today I'm not wearing any makeup, I apologize. I look a bit, I should have actually chosen today to like do really pretty makeup or something, because it's always easier to listen to someone ranting when they look pretty, and now I just like look like, oh my god, what is she? Her hair is just that, and her face is that. I don't want to listen to her. Blah 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 blah. But anyway, so here we have Totoji-san. It makes me really happy to see him. I hope we see Luffy come back to Alabasta one day to drink more of Yuba's water, and of course to see Vivi again. Oh, and in this episode, we found out Pell survived. Based on my patrons' response, I think a lot of people were looking forward to hear my thoughts on that, and I didn't see much in the reaction part because I didn't realize so many people were unhappy with Pell surviving. I was kind of expecting it since Igaram survived too, but I'm assuming Robin saved him back then, so it is a bit different. But still, Pell is a devil fruit user. I think their bodies are less vulnerable than other people. Luffy and even Zoro, who is not even a devil fruit user, if they were normal people and their wounds or whatever were realistic, they should have died a long time ago had their fights / wounds been realistic. So I don't really understand why it bothers people so much that Pell survived. I mean, on the one hand, I get it. For some people it might feel like his sacrifice means less because he actually survived. But it makes no difference to the overall story, so why does it bother people so much? I don't care either way. He was fully prepared to die, so it's not like it changes my opinion of that scene where he takes the bomb and leaves to save everyone. Some patrons also mentioned that it was because of a big terrorist attack. It happened during that time in the world, our real world, and maybe Oda didn't want to be disrespectful to the situation. Like I said, for me it makes no difference. I'm happy with it either way because it doesn't influence the main story in any way. In this episode we see Chopper floating by, and that reminded me of something I read in the SBS. People apparently wrote to Oda asking about why Mr. 3 was once seen floating. Since there are devil fruit users, they should sink. And Oda said something about a super floaty wood, so I'm assuming Chopper was also holding onto something or lying on top of something here that lifted him above the water. Okay, this is just when Robin was lying to Crocodile. Confirmed, she lied to Crocodile about what was inscribed on the poneglyph. It was not about the country's history. It seemed to say it seems to say where Pluton is, but she did not want to reveal it to him. So we know that Pluton does exist, but she was looking for other information. I'm not interested in such things. Whether countries or people live or die, I don't really care. I wasn't going to give Crocodile the weapon from the start. Then why did you come here? Asks King Cobra. What one expects and what one hopes are different things. What I was seeking was the Ryu Poneglyph. The only stone that tells the real history among the poneglyphs, scattered throughout the world. That's the Ryu Poneglyph. So a poneglyph is a one-piece term, I'm assuming. Not something that actually exists in the real world like Egyptian hieroglyphs. Sorry, the cat that was sleeping on my lap just jumped off, and honestly she's part of why I felt so hot, because so a Poneglyph is a One Piece term, not something that actually exists in the real world, like Egyptian hieroglyphs. Robin seems to have been searching for the Rio Poneglyph for 20 years. We can assume everything she is saying is the truth, since she was planning to die there anyway. She said, "All I want is to learn the history, but there's too many enemies to achieve my dream." Ha, but she just wasn't working with the right people, was she? Cobra said, by any chance, can the untold history be uncovered? Are you saying that the Poneglyphs hold that record? Then why do we ... And that's the Crunchyroll translation. The Kaizoku fansub translation says, are you saying the threads of the history that cannot be told can be woven together, and that Poneglyph is the record of it? If that is so, then why have we been ... How much better is that translation? I think that sounds so much more poetic and good. Anyway, I think it's also important to take note of the fact that Robin is an archaeologist. So this is just for me to remember. She's an archaeologist that comes from a long line of archaeologists. As we know, she received a bounty at the age of 8 and has kept herself hidden from society ever since. So if that was for 20 years, it means she is officially at this point in time 28 years old. Okay, that's all of my notes, everything. On one hand, I want to say, like, sorry I got so worked up. But on the other hand, I don't want to apologize, because I know many of you always say, no way, I love when you get passionate or you rant. Like, some people actually enjoy my rants for some reason. I guess it's entertaining to see someone freak out about something, but it's only because I really care about the story, and I just think that it isn't something that's been confirmed, so it shouldn't be difficult for someone to share their opinion on the story and say, this is what I think, this is my theory. I don't think it's fair to tell them, oh, you're wrong because my theory is objectively correct because I think at this point it's still something that should be up for debate, and it should be fun to talk about it. And if you can't agree with someone on something, then you go have your thoughts and let them have theirs. I guess I just got really frustrated with the amount of people that kept telling me that I was objectively wrong and that Luffy is factually asexual. But yeah, at the end of the day, I just really care about it. I really love talking about these things, and I do get worked up because it's fun talking about them. Like, obviously, it doesn't change my life. If I take a step back and look at the bigger picture, it doesn't matter whether people tell me, oh, it's a fact. Whether it is a fact or it isn't a fact, I don't really care. But it's still fun to have these kind of debates, and yeah, okay. Now I'm just rambling. Thank you to those of you that choose to stay around and listen, and whether you agree with me or not is fine. Obviously, it is difficult to talk to me about the story as a whole because I am so far behind. So maybe if I catch up, I'll change my mind. But oh, sorry, kitty. I think she wants to go outside, but I'll just say goodbye. If I change my mind at some point, I'll see. But as of this point, I don't see how. Well, yeah, already shared my thoughts. Thank you so much for being here. I will see you in the next video. Bye.